Hey everybody, welcome back to the Midnight Paint and Body channel. In this video, we're going to be adding a wild body kit to this GT500 Shelby Mustang. So here's what we're working on, guys. I know a few people have been waiting for this one. So this is an 06, I believe, GT500 supercharged, 6-speed, pretty badass car. So quite a while ago, customer brought me a Cervini's body kit for this car. Now it's like the Eleanor style body kit. So I did pre-paint it, and now here's just a quick disclaimer for you guys. Whenever you're doing a body kit or any of these kind of modifications, you should always fit the parts prior to paint. I know better, but I didn't do it. The reason for that is I'm always so busy. When the customer brought me the body kit, it was probably 2 months ago, because I had time to get it painted, I went ahead and painted everything. That serves two purposes. I mean, I had the time, so I got that out of the way, and now it's had plenty of time to cure, because I'm going to be handling everything, and then it's going to be getting the vinyl stripes and stuff back on. So that being said, yeah, I mean, I know better. You should pre-fit this stuff, but hopefully we're going to be okay getting everything installed. But if I need to do touch-ups, a little bit more paint work, whatever, is what it is. So here's kind of the bulk of the components. So we've got the side skirts. I am also doing the side exit exhaust on the car. I've got all the parts for that. So it's a different rear spoiler, the side skirts, brake vents, these, I don't know what you'd call them, window vents. Go over the back windows. And here's the hood. Yeah, pretty dusty. It's been sitting here for, like I say, a good month since I painted it. Front and rear bumper covers are in the boxes. Up on top of my paint booth there, I've got all the exhaust and grills and a whole bunch of pieces. So that's where we're at. So it's already halfway through the day on Friday, so I just figured I will get a start on this. First off, I think I'm just going to get it up in the air, get it on some stands, and we'll just start ripping this thing apart a little bit at a time and kind of figure out all the pieces as we go along. Another thing I'll mention with this kit, if you happen to be doing this, I mean, I do these videos hoping it might help some guys out that might want to do this stuff, but these were the worst contaminated parts I have ever in my life experienced as far as being a painter. Now, part of that is on me, or I guess all of it is on me. When I saw that they're a raw plastic part, they're not a primed plastic part. So I prepped and painted like I would any other raw plastic part. Well, these were just horribly contaminated. I didn't see any instructions or anything in the boxes. There's a couple of really small packages with some bolts and stuff. Well, I guess once you open those up, there is instructions in the paperwork, but I didn't open that stuff up because I wasn't installing the parts, so I didn't need those few nuts and bolts. So unfortunately, I mean, it would have been nice if there was, a sheet in the box or something. And I went on their website and I didn't see anything on there. So I just went ahead and painted them as I would other plastic parts, which resulted in me completely sanding everything down and repainting. So lost my ass on that part, but whatever. I'm to blame. I should have looked into it better. But anyway, that's just in case you guys are doing these parts, just so you know, follow their instructions, because the parts are so nasty. It's like they've been sprayed with Armor All. So anyway, that being said, guys, I'm going to just throw this thing up on some blocks, and we'll start by taking some bits and pieces off. And if you haven't checked this one out, I just did a video on some modifications I did on this truck, so this thing's pretty darn cool too. That's the cool thing about what I do. I often get to have a whole bunch of really cool vehicles in my shop. Anyway, let's get to work. Something I just thought of before I get started here. We should do a quick sound check on this thing, because I am going to be changing the exhaust. Let's do a before and after. Let's see how she sounds. We'll do that again later on once she's got the side exit exhaust installed. So there she is up in the air. Not entirely sure where I'm going to start. I was thinking I would pull everything off, but I think I might just start at the back. I'm going to pull the rear bumper cover off and just kind of start with one piece and see what I'm up against. And then I'll move on from there and see if I'm going to just rip everything apart. Some of these pieces still need some wet sand and polish, so I'll be kind of doing that as I go along. So it's going to take a little longer because I'm going to be doing some polishing and stuff along the way. But yeah, I'll kind of keep bringing you guys in so you can see where it's at and what we're doing. All right, so taillights and rear bumper cover off out of the way. Now, I know the new bumper cover isn't going to work with this exhaust, so I think I'm just going to go ahead and unbolt these mufflers. Luckily, everything kind of bolts together on these with band clamps, so I can pull the mufflers, and then I'll be pulling those pipes as well. So I'm going to get those out of the way, and then I think we'll get that rear bumper cover out of the box and do the first trial fit. So now with our rear bumper cover off the car, I've dug out the new, I guess it's just a lower cover. I had forgotten that it's not a full bumper cover, but it's fine, this had to come off anyway. So it kind of looks like this one actually just two-way tapes, probably right along this line and around the sides, because it goes straight around the edge, as you can see there. It doesn't have that jog there. So I'm just going to undo this lower valence piece here, and we'll just test fit that up in a minute. So I've got that lower bumper valence just super roughly sitting in place, so just figured I'd kind of show you guys where I'm at. So the foam bumper absorber had to come out for it to fit. I tried putting it on with it in there and it just doesn't go on. And, you know, I'm assuming this is meant to have two-way tape around the sides. Now, this goes back to kind of how I started with these parts. There is no instructions. I couldn't really find anything on the website. Maybe I should go back on there. When I initially painted these parts, I opened up front and rear bumper covers and the hood, and I painted them, and then I dug out all the other boxes and got all the other stuff. Now all the other parts had these little packages in there that have some instructions, and they do have the paint instructions on there. So, but these bumper covers, there was nothing. I don't really know how this is supposed to go. I mean, I'm going to put it on how I think it'll hold on there good, and that'll be with some two-way tape and a couple of screws that'll be at the front. Looks like there's some pre-drilled spots here, maybe for a couple of fasteners, which would make sense. But so my screw up with the paint process I mean, I emailed Cervini's and said, basically, what the heck, why are your parts so crappy? And they were like, well, did you read the instructions? I said, well, there was nothing in the box. And then I found that there was instructions in the other boxes. And let's be honest, I felt kind of dumb. I was like, well, it was my screw up. But there was nothing in with the friggin' bumper covers. And I have no instruction on installing these. So, I've been doing auto body a long time. I can figure it out without instructions, but it would be nice, you know, would have been nice to have known I had to take that absorber out before I fitted it the first time. It would be nice to know if they do recommend putting the two-way tape around there. I just don't know. That's what I'm going to do, but anyway, you guys, that's my rant. So far, this is shaping up to be like every other aftermarket body kit I've ever worked with, and they're typically all a pain in the butt. I'll put it like that. So anyway, I'm going to keep tinkering with this, and I'll let you guys know what I end up doing. Well, guys, I guess there'll be no more updates today on this one. I don't know if you can tell, but it's a little dark in here. But a crazy thunderstorm coming over. Thunder and lightning like crazy. And power just went out, so. Anyway, it's like 4:30 on Friday anyway, so I guess I'll just call it a day and go drink all the beer before it gets warm. See you next week. Well, good morning. It's Monday morning again. So, as you can see, the lights are back on. So that kind of ended my day abruptly on Friday, but yeah, it was almost the end of the day anyway. So yeah, it's Monday. I did take the weekend off. Nothing happened. The elves didn't come in and finish the work. Well, I took the weekend off, but I kind of got a little carried away on my car. But anyway, hot rod problems. So I'll kind of show you where we're at on this rear bumper cover. So I've kind of gotten underneath here. So this is, I mean, it's pretty straightforward. Again, would have been nice if I had some kind of paperwork on this, but so you can see there is a tab here that's sort of pre-drilled, and there's a bigger hole that lines up right there. So I am going to, I think I'm probably just going to drill that through and put a plastic fastener in that one. And that kind of, well, I'll show you on the outside. It kind of needs to be sucked in a little bit. And then this is pretty straightforward here, but you can see that where there's a couple of fasteners here and here, they line up with those holes there. So that's easy. So I'm going to undo those and put that into place. So I'll kind of show you what I've got going on the outside. When I said this kind of needs to be pulled in, so you can see if I kind of pull out on the bottom a little bit, it's tightening that up to the upper. So I have run a two-way tape all the way along that edge, but I want to get everything in place before I tape that. And then I'll probably warm this up just a little bit with the heat gun just to make it a little more pliable. And then we'll stick it. So you can see a little trick here that I always do. So I've started peeling back the backing from the tape and just kind of taped it over the edge. So when I'm ready, we'll just pull that and I can pull that backing all the way around. And then we'll stick her into place. So I'm going to fasten those bottom pieces. And yeah, like I say, I'm just kind of showing you guys all of this stuff just in case you happen to be taking this kit on. You know, I looked at YouTube first to see if there's any videos of anyone doing these kits, and I did see a couple, but nothing really in depth that, you know, gave me kind of a heads up on what I was going to be up against with this stuff. So anyway, I'm going to carry on with that. Bring you guys back in a couple of minutes. So there's one side stuck down. So that little bit of heat on the plastic, it just really helps things to kind of mold in together. Not a lot of heat, obviously, but just to get it warm, like it's been sitting out in the sun kind of thing, makes a big difference. So that worked out well, actually. I'm very happy with this fit. We're even all the way around, fits nice and tight. So I'm just going to move on to do the other side, and then maybe we will tackle this rear spoiler. I'll probably throw the tail lights and everything back in too. So I pulled off the factory spoiler off the Mustang. Pretty straightforward. 4 nuts. On the inside, you've got to take the inside trunk liner off. The spoiler itself, just in case someone is doing this, is 2-way taped, and it is a bugger to get off. So I was able to slide a utility knife under and cut away some of it until I was able to just kind of get a little movement on it and get it rocking back and forth till I got it off. Now our new spoiler now, a couple of things on this. One thing, this bottom edge, my bad, I didn't get any paint on it. So I am actually going to give the spoiler a quick sand and get a little more paint on it. Then the Shelby lettering has to come off. So I'm hoping it's going to fit to go back onto the back of the spoiler, because that's where it's going to have to go, because I mean that's kind of an important part of this car. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to throw this and maybe the ends just so I know everything's going to match up good in the booth, put a little bit of paint on them, and then as soon as I'm done that, maybe we'll move on to the side skirts and the exhaust. So you know, when I said I was going to repaint the spoiler for this car, you know, I'd kind of talked about the contamination in these parts. Well, this is how it looks. You can pick all that up in the camera. But this stupid thing completely fish-eyed again. So I had repainted this entire body kit because of this contamination in this stuff. Now this spoiler, like I showed you guys, I didn't get paint on that very bottom, so I thought, well, I'll just give it a sand and repaint the spoiler pieces. So completely sanded, completely washed again, and all that contamination is coming through again. I have never in my 30 years in this trade experienced this type of contamination in new parts. This stuff is terrible. So that's number 3 on this thing. I'm gonna have to let it cure, sand it again, paint it again. I stopped making money on this job when I had to repaint all this shit. So I am not happy at all with this company's parts. But what do you do? Anyway, let's go work on something else on the car. What else could go wrong? Well, let's open up the exhaust pieces for this car and see how this stuff looks. Let's see what we've got in here. Shiny mufflers. Look at those bad boys. See through there? Pretty much straight through. These are, ooh, they've even got the Cervini's name stamped into the mufflers. Not too happy with that name right now. Okay, so pipes, exhaust, I recognize that name. Well, this is obviously some pretty nice stuff. Hangers, clamps, and so on. Okay, well, those are pretty cool. So there's our side exit pieces. Like a cast piece with little chrome ends. Those are pretty nice. Well, we'll dig out the instructions here in a second. Let's go have a look under here, see what we got. So this is the view people on the sidewalk usually get of these Mustangs. Yeah, pretty much looks like I'll just be undoing these tailpipes because that side exit is going to come out right here. Well, yeah, I'll have a look at the instructions, start ripping these tailpipes off, and then I think I'll be taking off this plastic trim on the rockers. The rockers got a little ding there. Okay, we'll have a look and I'll bring you guys back. So this is all pretty straightforward, bolt together. So I've got the tailpipes off, the new mufflers in place. There's your tailpipe. Pretty straightforward. So yeah, just a couple brackets and hangers. I'm just going to bolt this together. I'm not going to bother filming it because it is just simple bolt together stuff. But I'll bring you guys back for a look once I've got it all in place. So there's one side of our exhaust sitting in place. So I'm going to pull these rocker covers off and we'll get the new side skirts ready to go on. Now, you can see nothing's tightened. We'll tighten all that up once we've got it in place and know exactly where our side exit piece is going to want to live. So let's get this thing off of here. So jumping ahead a little bit here. So these side skirt pieces are fairly straightforward. So you've got to put some two-way tape along here and here. Same at the back. So I've got it in place just with one body clip there, just kind of holding it. So you can see it just kind of needs to be maneuvered into place and stuck. I'm going to do the same here. I'm going to heat that a little bit. I just find it makes it work a little better. Same at the back. And then when we get to the inside here, once it's in place, we need to drill and put 5 screws along there. So pretty straightforward. Just going to need a couple of screws in the back here. Those, and there's a couple more I need to put behind the wheel. I'm going to have to wait till it's off the blocks and I can get the rear wheels off and out of the way so I can get in there and drill and put those screws in. But I think I'll be fine to get everything else in place and just do those last, like I say, once I take it down off of these stands. So I'm going to continue on. Yeah, I'm just going to drill and get these screwed in place, get these stuck in place, and then we'll finish up this side of the exhaust and get this exhaust tip in there. So there's one side skirt done, or mostly done. So you can see we're still sticking out a bit here, but once I get these screws in there, I just need to Gonna push that into place right about there, and then I'll put a couple of screws in the back once the wheel's off. So that looks pretty cool. We're not going to fire it up yet because I still got to do the other side, but kind of excited to see how this thing's going to sound. I get to do the first fire up. All right, back on the Mustang here, guys. I had to take a little bit of a break from it to do another job, but I'm going to get back to putting this thing together. I got the rear spoiler repainted. Lucky number 4. I did get the side skirts and the exhaust is all done. Now these, like I showed you before, they just need to be pulled in just a little bit when I put those screws in there, but that'll be done once I pull the back wheels. A couple of screws in there as well. So that is straightforward. Now this rear spoiler is just simple. So it is liner up, got about 1/8 of an inch on either side of the edge of the trunk lid. Gonna get her in place. Basically, I'm just gonna run some 2-way tape around the inside of the spoiler and the spoiler end pieces. So, like I said, that's all easy, so I'm gonna go ahead and start putting some tape on that. Yeah, basically get her in place. Rear spoiler is on. I didn't bother recording sticking it on there because it was just 2-way tape. I'm not used to working on cars that go together with tape. I'm used to working on cars that have real nuts and bolts, but whatever. 3M tape is good stuff. So that's in place. The Shelby script will have to go back on the back of the spoiler. That'll wait until the stripes are redone. I've got a guy coming out this afternoon to look at it. So yeah, there's a little sneak peek, but we'll do a real good walk around at the end. So what we have left is front bumper cover and hood, and these side scoops, air vents, fake brake coolers, fake window vents. So again, those are all just lick and stick, so I think I'll just wait until later for those, but I'm going to start ripping this front end apart. So there's our front end torn down, hood's off, factory front bumper cover is off. Didn't record all this. This stuff is super straightforward to take apart. 4 bolts on the hood, a bunch of plastic clips, and a couple of 7mm bolts on the bumper cover. So I'm going to read through the instructions for this bumper cover, see what exactly we need to do. There is some cutting involved, so I will get all that figured out. I'm going to try and make it quick, because we all know that being in front of a Mustang is a pretty unsafe place to be. It could jump down off the stands and run me over at any minute. Okay, so I opened up some more parts. So we have the lower and upper billet grills to go in the front bumper cover. Along with those parts, I also had this piece, which I didn't look at, the trunk filler panel. So unfortunately for me, I didn't open that up. It needs to be painted. It looks really rough and really slimy. I don't even want to touch it. So yeah, I guess it's gonna fit kind of in here in this contour, maybe to kind of smooth this out to the spoiler, I guess. So we'll see. I mean, it looks so rough. I'm just not really crazy about it, to be honest. And then we'll see how much we have to modify this GT500 badge. Well, it looks like maybe we just use the inner part of it. But we'll get to that when we get to it. I'm not going to worry about it right now. I am going to have a few touch-ups to do on the car, so I'll paint that at that time. So that'll be later. So the lower grille does have a fog light kit that comes with it. So here's our lights and bezels and everything for that. And then the front bumper cover, it came with these bezels that go on the inside there. And then it did also come with these X-ray vision lights to make sure that you could absolutely blind everybody coming towards you. So with that, I'm going to start installing these grills and a few bits and pieces. Oh, and I mention too, I thought we're gonna have to do some cutting for the front bumper cover. We don't actually have to cut, it just comes with this little paper template, fits up underneath the fender on each side, and we just need to drill 3 holes for the mounting of the front bumper cover. So that's straightforward as well. So I'm gonna start putting some of these grill pieces in, and then I'll bring you guys back for a look and kind of show you what's going on with it. Again, I don't need to record me, putting a bunch of little screws in. That's straightforward stuff. But I'll bring you back for a look and see how she turns out. Oh, another check-in here, boys and girls. So I've got the grills in place, all of the fog lamps in place, marker lights. Now, everything is these vents. Now, one of the packages came with this sheet of, whatever you want to call that, tin. And I believe it's to make some pieces for filling in the holes in the hood. But there seems to be enough that I can also make a couple of pieces for the inside of this. So I think I'm going to do that, probably paint them black. And then there is actually pre-drilled screw holes around those, so it looks like that'll work out well. There is, again, nothing in the instructions about it. The front bumper cover instructions that I got, pretty vague, and it's only 1 page. It almost seems like there should be a second page to it, but there isn't. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I still need to drill the holes in the fenders, but we're almost ready to throw this bumper cover assembly on the car. Okay, another quick check-in here, guys. Getting close to the end of the day, but so a few things, just in case you happen to be doing this kit or looking at doing it. There's just really no instructions for the front bumper cover. Really limited, other than drilling the holes. That's pretty much all it tells you. So I did pull the front part of the inner fenders, which is not a big deal, but so it's going to give me some access to be able to get in there to nut and bolt this to the fender. Otherwise, I don't know how you'd get in there. And the other thing, so these front bumper cover supports, now these go down inside there. Yeah, they would sit somewhere around there. I had to take those out, so I was fighting with this thing trying to get it on and realizing that it's just not going past these. Again, nothing in the instructions or anything. I mean, obviously you figure it out as you go along, but it kind of sucks to have to have something on and off 3 times trying to fit it. It would have been nice if it would have just said on the piece of paper to remove the old bumper cover supports. So yeah, it's just another little hitch I've run into with it, but so far it's looking pretty cool anyways, so I'm gonna keep on here a little bit, try and get things bolted up. Might not happen today, but I'm gonna have to find someone to give me an extra set of hands. Looking forward to getting that hood set on there. Okay, one more setback. I'm starting to get about as frustrated as a mosquito in a mannequin store with this thing. So, as you can see, front bumper cover is back off. It does not fit with this front bumper absorber in place. There is just no way. It's just too tight against it. I got one side bolted up and tried to pull the other side back, but there was just absolutely no way. So I think what I'm gonna do, I don't want to take it out. You need that absorber. So I think I'm gonna take Sawzall and just cut these corners off, because that seems to be where the problem is. Now, if you're not familiar with modern vehicles, I know everyone always refers to this as the bumper. This is not a bumper. This is a bumper cover. Your bumper is here. Just like an old car, they have a steel bumper. Now, of course, with modern cars, these are made to crush. You see all these crush zones. That's what takes the impact. That's what keeps you safe in the cabin. The old cars that were all steel, you hit something, it goes dong. But these ones, you hit something and they compress. That's what they're built to do. Now, what this is here, your bumper absorber, this is your 5 km/h bumper. So that's what that's designed to take. And we don't want to leave that right out, because if he did bump something with this front cover without this in there, it's just going to crush the cover immediately. At least that's going to protect it a little bit. So I'm going to modify it a little bit and try and make it work. Once again, I wish that would have been in the paperwork that needed to be done, but man, oh man. Well, at least I know now, if I ever have someone want one of these body kits done again, I'll probably charge double what I estimated for this job, because, yeah, not to complain, but kind of losing my ass on this thing. I mean, it's fun. It's a neat job. It's a cool kit. It's a cool car. But man, oh man, you can't keep working for nothing. Anyway, little alteration. Gonna get that back on pretty much the end of the day. I'm gonna call her quits pretty quick before I start getting super aggravated with this thing. But I'll bring you guys back when I figure it out. So here's another little check-in, guys. It's the next day. Couple hours more into this front cover, but it is on. So, front bumper absorber. There is no way it'll fit with it in there. So I'll show you guys what I did. I shaved off the ends because that seemed to be where it was hitting. But unfortunately, that's just not enough. It does not fit with that in there. There is no way. The 3 bolts where they show you to drill the inside of the fender are almost impossible to get in there. Super tricky. I was using extensions with bolts taped to them, and the very front one on each side, I can't get in. There's just no way. I just can't do it. So, I don't know what the secret is to that, but I can't make it happen. So, overall, the fit of the parts is nice. I've got no complaints with how this kit is fitting, but I've got a lot of complaints with their instructions. They're terrible. Yeah, I just don't understand. I must be missing stuff. I've got 1 page for the front bumper cover. It said nothing about the absorber having to come out. It said nothing about these bumper supports having to come out. This top panel that covers up the top of your radiator, where your hood support and stuff clips into, there's no way it can be reused. It's a completely different shape. It humps up. I don't know if you can see from here the original hood. As you can see, it humps up. So that fits along the top of this bumper cover. So there's that panel that just I can't put back on. But then the new hood, as you can see, is flat all the way across. So yeah, a lot of stuff that should have been covered in their instructions that wasn't. That yeah, has got me quite frustrated with this kit, but it is what it is. I got to get it done. At this point, I'm frustrated, and I don't know if I mentioned this, but I'm losing my ass on this thing. Oh, anyway, oh yeah, and there's this little piece I showed you guys. I cut out those pieces and screwed them to the inside, painted them black, and I'll do the same on the openings on the hood. But that is done. Oh, and the other thing was the connectors for the fog lamps. These lamps take a different connector. They supplied wiring with the kit and just said to extend the wiring. So I did that, and then I went to plug them in. It was different. Luckily, one of my scrap cars out back, an old Grand Am, had the correct headlight connectors that go to these bulbs. So I was able to just snip them off of there, and I use those, so not a big deal. So I'm gonna have to find a helper to get the hood on, which I don't know when that'll happen. Actually, I got a buddy I can text. But I think for now, I'm gonna move on to some of these side scoops. So I'm gonna start taping those up and get some of those guys in place. Well guys, finally getting to the end of this thing. So here is our final piece of the puzzle. So this back panel. So I had to take this back emblem apart. So that will obviously sit in there. I'm gonna leave that off for now. And then this panel is going to fill that back end. Just like that. So it kind of smooths it out, I guess, rather than having that concave part. So I guess is what it is. So I'm going to tape that up. I'm going to put it on. One thing I've come across on this. Now these pieces were in one of the boxes, I think with the side skirts. So I painted them. I have no idea where they go. I've kind of tried holding them up against everything. No, they obviously have some areas there for some kind of retainers, but I do not know where these go. So if anyone from Cervini's happens to watch this, you might want to add that to your instructions, because I don't know, they're not in the instructions. I tried Googling the part number on them. So these are 4391L and 4391R, so left to right, obviously. But yeah, I don't know. I will, I mean, I'm not giving up on them, but I will, before the car leaves, try and figure out where the heck those things go. But I am going to put some two-way tape on this back panel, get it in place. Gonna leave it there for now. I'm not ending the video, I'm just leaving it there for now. It's Friday. This is going for vinyl stripes next week. When I get it back and have it all cleaned up, we'll do a final walk around. I'll show you guys how everything looks, how everything fits, give you my final opinions of this whole deal, and we'll fire it up so you can see how she sounds with that kind of badass exhaust on there. It's pretty good. Okay guys, we'll be back in about that long. it's all done, ready for the customer. So you did hear me complain a lot about this kit during this video. I did have problems with the paintwork from the beginning. Now that was probably 75% on me and 25% on them, I'm going to say. I mean, I didn't have instructions in the first boxes I opened, so I had problems. I mean, my own fault, I suppose, for not researching it more. It did take way longer than it should have. Well, I mean, it took way longer than I estimated to do it, so whatever. I have to take a loss on this one, but it happens. Now, had their instructions been more clear, I think I would have been okay with what I estimated. Now, I've done body kits, but honestly, most of this kind of stuff I haven't done since the 90s when they were popular. So at the end of the day, though, this kit, I will say, fits very well. The parts, you know, as far as body kits go, everything fits really nicely. You know, we have all decent gaps. We've got, you know, decent gaps on the hood. There are a few little bits. The only thing I'm kind of having a little bit of an issue with is these skirts just on this back corner. I just want the lift just a little bit. So I'm just going to see if I can fine tune that a little bit before it goes back to the customer. But overall, everything's pretty good. So I don't have a lot of complaints as far as the fit goes anyway. So that's nice. It is good quality stuff. It just should have been a little more clear on their instructions. But like I say, I will take partial responsibility for that, not full responsibility. But anyways, guys, pretty neat project nonetheless. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, all I ask in return, just click the like and the subscribe and leave me a comment. Let me know what you think of this, if this is a good addition to this car, or if you preferred it before. But I'll tell you what, I think it's pretty badass. Now, I did drive this car yesterday, delivered it to get the vinyl stripes done by my friends at Vibin Vinyl. So yeah, I delivered it there and then I picked it up. So I have driven it a couple times. It's, you know, I'm pretty cautious. It's a customer's car. I was definitely not, you know, using her potential. But, you know, I did give her a little bit, and it definitely pulls. But at the end of the day, I guess there's an ass for every seat. And you know what? I prefer my old cars. There's just something, you know, all smooth and comfortable, and all of that is good, I suppose, if that's what you want. But I personally prefer vintage cars. I'd rather have 600 horsepower and a 4-speed in a, you know, a Chevelle or whatever it is. But hey, there's something for everybody. And at the end of the day, this is a cool car. So I'm going to leave that one there, guys. Don't forget to subscribe, and I do hope to see you on the next one.